Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm Evangelist Matthew Miles Sr., welcoming you to another online study with the Central Point Church of Christ here in Bloomington, Illinois. It's the place we call the Bloom because it's the place where the people of God are blooming in his righteousness and in his favor. I know you see the shelves behind me are getting empty, and that's right, beloved. We're on our way to our new church home, 909 Four Seasons Road. God has blessed us with a new campus there, and we're going to be doing some great things in the new year to come. If you want to be a part of that, we welcome you to be a part of that in a very special way. We have started a 2023 capital fundraising campaign. Our members are pledging. We've already had members to start giving. If you want to be a part of that because this ministry is blessing you, please feel free to go to our Facebook page or our website. You'll see the ways that you can send financial support to us and just earmark it for the 2023 capital fundraising campaign. We're going to be doing some things with our parking lot and some other things we want to do to just spruce up things. And so if you want to be a part of that, you know what to do. Listen, beloved, we're talking about depression, a stiller of life. Lesson number 9. And in our last study, I told you I wanted to go a little deeper and expand on 3 words that the Apostle Paul uses in this message to his son Timothy and ultimately to us, the latter-day disciples of Jesus Christ. In 1 Timothy chapter 1 and verse 7, in the King James, Paul writes this way, "For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, the spirit of love, and a sound mind." Now let's take a little closer look at this language that Paul uses here. The word power, 14:11. 14:11 is the strong reference number for the word power here in 1 Timothy 1 and 7. And this word comes from the word dunamis. Dunamis. And it's a miraculous power, beloved, something that we cannot get from within ourselves, something that we cannot get from other men. But we get this power from God. He's the one who gives us this power. It brings about an understanding of our might. It refers to strength, force, or ability. It refers to efficacy, the ability to produce a desired or an intended result. It brings up, if you will, and heightens our energy level spiritually, that we might be able to battle and fight whatever the task is at hand. And then he says he gives us a spirit of love. 26 is the word here. You know it well. 26 is the strong reference number. Agape. Agape. It refers to goodwill and benevolence. It refers to esteeming others. When used plurally, it refers to a love feast. It's a love, beloved, which centers around moral preference. In the New Testament, it typically, refers to divine love. In other words, it's love that God prefers. That's what it is. And then he uses this third word and final word. It's sound mind. Sound mind. Is that in your Bible, beloved? 4995 is the strong reference number. 4995. And this word, sophronomus is the word. Sophronomus. This word sophronomus refers to self-control, self-discipline, and prudence. It's derived from it's a masculine noun, which is derived from another word, 4998, sophron, which means truly moderate. In other words, in proper usage, it refers to a safe mind. So here it is, beloved. A sound mind is a self-control, self-discipline, safe mind. All right? So brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, there are 3 reoccurring themes in 2 Timothy. 3 reoccurring themes that are, and they are suffering, truth, and godliness. Stay with me, I'm going somewhere. Suffering, truth, and godliness. Seasoned saints, I want to suggest to you that without any fear, of successful contradiction that as a child of God, anyone who is battling this beast we call depression has an upper hand, if you will, and are so much more equipped for this battle, knowing that God has already warned us through his word by the Apostle Paul here. He warns us that as children of God, we are going to do some suffering. Depression brings about suffering. We're going to suffer. We're going to suffer. That's the way Satan tries to attack our minds. And if he gets our mind, he gets our bodies. So we're already ahead of the game by knowing that as a child of God, we're going to suffer. Watch this. Watch this three recurring themes in 2 Timothy. This is why he's talking to Timothy. We will suffer, but we also have the truth. We have the truth. Watch this. His word, which empowers us with godliness. That's your three themes there. We're going to suffer, but we also have the truth, which empowers us with godliness to help us in this battle against the beast called depression. All right? However, and I got to move on because I feel like preaching right there, beloved. But however, God is so good that he also provides human help in the form of therapy, hospitalization, and medicine. Let me say that again. God also provides human help in the form of therapy, hospitalization, and healing through medicine. Beloved, these are exactly the three things that Kate Irwin discusses in her book, Conquering the Beast Within, How I Fought Depression and Won, and You Can Too. That's the title of her book. But this is what she discussed in chapter 5. Kate began by warning us that hospitalization may bring a different experience for different people. For some, it may be a scary experience, especially if you don't know what to expect. Friends, I want you to pause here, and I want to encourage you to not be embarrassed, to not be ashamed, and do not be afraid if you have the need to be hospitalized because of your depression. It's important you hear this. You see, the goal is to beat the depression. It's to beat it and to be victorious and to be well. That's your goal, beloved. That's the goal we want for you. Now notice Kate Irwin's experience with hospitalization. Walk with me if you will. I tell you, technology is not going to beat us. We're going to keep on rolling. Listen, let's notice Kate Irwin's experience with hospitalization. Number one, she had to be checked in because she no longer trusted herself. Does that sound familiar to anyone? I don't know who I'm talking to out there. But Kate Irwin checked herself into the hospital because she could no longer trust herself. She didn't know whether she wanted to live or whether she wanted to die. She checked in to open up and to talk about her problems and to find the right medicines to help her. But more importantly, she checked into the hospital to keep safe. Kate wanted to make sure she didn't hurt herself or anyone else for that matter. Now, when Kate arrived at the hospital, it was really hard. It was really hard for her to stay there and to be left by her family. Now, Kate is opening up and sharing this with us so we can understand and so we perhaps can expect some of the same feelings. But before her mother left her, Kate and her mother sat down along with the therapist and the helpers to put together a plan for phone calls. See, it's getting better already, y'all. Now, the hospital had to approve, of course, the list of people who could call and speak with Kate because they wanted to make sure that the individuals who were calling her were good influence for her. Let's be honest, everybody we hang around is not our friend. Everyone who declares to be our friend, especially those who say, I'm your best friend, those are the ones you better be careful with the most, the closest one to you. Just shown by my wife just this morning, a young lady who went off um, on a vacation with so-called friends, and as soon as they got there, they killed her. Jealousy, no doubt, motivation. She was doing very well for herself. So yes, they wanted to make sure that Kate was um, talking to people of good influence. She was allowed 2 phone calls in the morning and also 2 phone calls at night. She found a lot of courage through these phone calls and through the fact that there was a plan to keep her connected with her family. Her mom brought her things from home. She bought her one of her favorite pillows and one of her favorite stuffed animals. The hospital staff had to check, of course, all of any items her mother brought her. The hospital staff had to check those items to make sure there was nothing there that Kate could harm herself with. All right? She received routine checkups by the doctor who took her weight, her blood pressure, and all the basic things. These are some things you can experience or expect to experience if you have to go to the hospital because of your battle with depression. Kate admits that her first night was hard. Her first night was hard there. It was hard. The only thing that was in her room was a bathroom, a bed, and some drawers. That was the only thing that was in her bedroom, and it was hard. The next morning, date number 2, she had to rise very early. She admits that the food was not that hot, and I don't know if Kate meant by temperature or taste, but she said the food wasn't that hot. She says the staff went over the daily schedule. Then came the hard part. She had to submit to a total physical. A total physical. Kate says that day was probably the hardest day of all because she felt she had taken every test in the book. Also, while in the hospital, Kate received information that taught her about the various levels of progression through the program that the hospital offered. And that's important for you to have an understanding what you're going through and what you're trying to achieve. That's important. The more Kate's condition improved, the more freedom she received. That's progression, y'all. That's progression. Here are the levels that was part of the program that Kate submitted herself to. Number 1, level 1, suicide and escape precautions. That's what she had to be made aware of and had to be discussed, and levels of comfortability had to be met. On level 2, things were still pretty strict, Kate says. On level 3, she gained more privileges as she progressed. And then on level 4, she received more freedom. And it's when you get to level 4, Kate says, that you're almost, quote unquote, you're almost ready to go home. So you have something to look forward to. You have the challenge, but you're getting help to meet the challenge, that you are getting better and better each day. At first, Kate's family were only able to visit her for a couple hours during the week and also on the weekend. All right, there's structure there. All right. Also, the more that the staff got to know Kate, now watch how she worded this. This was interesting. She didn't say the more she got to know them, but she said the more that the staff got to know her, the more she considered them as friends instead of superiors. Isn't that mighty powerful? And it's a little odd to mention. The more the staff got to know her, the more she considered them as friends and not superiors. Kate was blessed to have a roommate who had already gone through the different levels and through the system. So that was a blessing to her. That helped her along the way. Kind of remind me of the book of Hebrews that encouraged the Christian to keep on going. There's a great cloud of witnesses that already been through the test, and they're there cheering you on. So this roommate was able to help her. Um, Beloved, here's something I think you should listen very carefully to. Kate says when she was released from the hospital, she became discouraged very easily because she felt vulnerable. Notice the wording here. It was her feelings that mattered. She had become so well in the hospital, but on her release, she became very discouraged very easily, because she felt vulnerable. All right, that's something to pay attention to. She felt a lot of pressure to be that enthusiastic person that she once was, that actor and that athlete. She felt pressure to be that again. And this is learning for both sides of the spectrum. For the person that's going through the battle, and also for family and loved ones. All right. Beloved, here's another noteworthy thought that I think you need to pay close attention to. And we're almost done today. Kate had to keep going to counseling. And for Kate, it was hard for her, in her own words, spilling her gut out to doctor after doctor. But Kate says that you must stick with it. She understands your frustration. She understands that you may feel leery about just keep opening up and speaking to doctor after doctor about your most inner thoughts and your demons and your things you're fighting with, your depression. But Kate says you must stick with it. She says because the medicine alone cannot cure you. It will not cure you, just medicine alone. You must go to counseling. She says in big letters that you must be big and brave. Right? She says that this continual counseling will help shrink your beast. The more and consistent you are with your medicine, the more consistent you are with your counseling, it will help shrink the beast in your mind until he disappears and you win the battle. Here's another thought. She says it's okay not to always agree with your therapist. She said that's okay. That's a normal thing. But here's the warning. But when you continue to disagree with your therapist, you need to tell somebody. You need to make it known. If over and over again you're going to your therapist and you're continuing to disagree with them, you need to make it known. Because you may need to get a second opinion. And you also might need to change your therapist. All right? Beloved brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, Kate shares one more piece of advice concerning medication, concerning her experience. And this is really for our female viewers who are wrestling with this beast, depression. She stated that they started to see a pattern within her depressive behavior. PMS, premenstrual syndrome. She states that those symptoms, PMS symptoms and depression symptoms, are almost identical for some. Kate hormone levels seem to be making her depression twice as bad once a month. And that's the last thing you need to deal with. You have the PMS and then you're dealing with depression. Kate says that's the last thing you need to have. Here's what she suggests. Kate suggests that you talk to your therapist or your psychiatrist about seeing a gynecologist. Yeah, she says, I know it's another doctor. It's another doctor, but it's for your good. It's for your good. So if you're having a difficult time, an extra difficult time doing your PMS, it's good that you talk to your therapist or psychiatrist to see to ask to speak to a gynecologist. All right. She says it really, really, really helped her. It helped Kate Irwin to start taking hormone pills. Once she saw her gynecologist, she began taking hormone pills. And she says, no, they did not interfere with her antidepressants. All right? So you want to talk to your therapist, your psychiatrist, to try to get the referral to your gynecologist. And you just may need to take hormone pills. In closing, beloved, remember, you are not alone. Kate Irwin beat this beast called depression. I beat this beast called depression. And so can you. Yes, you can. I know it's difficult. I know it's hard. But yes, you can. I was battling it for years and didn't even know it. All right? And you need to remember something. Remember that you are loved. You are loved by me. You are loved by God. And God sent his dear son to die a death he did not deserve. He paid a debt he did not owe and a bill that we couldn't pay. That's how much God loves you. So remember, I love you. God loves you. And remember, with faith, all things are possible. Until next time, beloved, I commend you to God and the word of his grace, which is able to build you up and give you an inheritance among the sanctified. May God bless you. Think on these things. Share this link that you might help somebody else deal with this beast. And not only deal with it, but beat it. Until next time, God bless.